I see a red light. I think we're live.
Hello.
Hello, and welcome back to Book Chats with Mostly Books. I'm Jody.
I'm Trisha.
And tonight we are doing A Good Marriage by Kimberly McCreight, which is, again, another psychological thriller. Didn't really...
About couples and family.
to do them back to back.
We did not mean to do that.
Evidently, we were just really craving a domestic thriller right now.
And we wanted to talk about them.
Right.
'Cause that's the important part, is to read them and then go, oh my God, can you believe this happened?
Yeah. All right, before we go much further, why don't you give us a brief synopsis on the book?
Well, it doesn't take place in England. It takes place in New York. And it's not painted houses on a hill. It's in a little part of New York City.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, thank you. And it's still a lot of couples, and it starts with a little journal entry, but do we know it's a man in the beginning? We do, because he says, my wife. We know it's a man. But, so it's a little diary.
It's more like a letter.
It's more like a letter. And then a woman is dead, but we know who it is. And so a woman dies in the beginning, and then it kind of jumps back, and it's told from mostly from two different perspectives, two different women, and we get to find out who done it, and really about their marriages, which was fascinating.
It's very aptly named.
Yes, very much so. Because I kept thinking, well, who's the good marriage? Is there a good marriage, or is it...
Is there just one singular?
1 out of 4, or is it...
And are you supposed to be figuring out which one is the good one?
And who killed the woman? Because it was...
Yeah.
So
I feel like it's fair to say that Amanda has been murdered.
yes,
She is found in her house.
badly murdered.
And it is told through Amanda's perspective, as in, like, I think, like 6 days
I was gonna
prior
say
to
the
this
week.
party.
Yeah, right.
And then it's told by Lizzie, our lawyer, who has been recruited into helping Amanda's husband, who is now arrested.
Right. So Lizzie and Amanda's husband went to law school together, and it had a little bit of a sort of not really relationship. Okay. Sorry.
Let's not talk about that yet.
Not talking about that. They knew each other in college.
There you go.
Okay. No spoilers.
I was just getting the perspectives.
Okay. And then a little perspective of court testimony.
Yeah, I did like in the book that there were the court testimonies, and there were other legal documents as well.
Yes.
And then there were, like, documentations on these email correspondences. I don't remember if there were actual emails as well.
I don't think there were. I think
Okay.
they talked about them, but I don't know if we saw them.
And we probably just saw the, like, police reports on the
Right,
emails, which is why we were getting them.
Right.
So, yes, filled with mixed media, which, as we all know, I adore.
Yes.
So, did you like this one?
I did. It was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny. It was so different from the last one, and yet so many similarities to the last one, which I really enjoyed. Where we were talking earlier, on the last one you felt like you kind of knew who was scummy in the beginning. This one you really don't.
There's just one that I knew right off the bat.
Yes. We'll talk about that. Yes.
Yeah, I agree. It was interesting, like, in Watching You by Lisa Jewell, it was very apparent that these marriages were dysfunctional.
Yes, and that we're not being held together well.
Yeah. Whereas in Kimberly's, it's more like they're all presented as really great, solid marriages, and you don't really get into it until you start getting into the book, how their marriages are and function.
Right. Or it's conversations, or someone comes home and makes some comment and you're like, oh, which I enjoy. I like the getting to know what's happening as you go.
Yeah. Well, and it was an interesting look at different ways people have relationships.
Yes.
Which is, I mean, I read a brief interview that she did, and it was like one of the things she's like, well, I wanted to discuss, like, how this couple is very hand-holdy. This couple has a lot of witty banter, and this couple just fight in the open.
And then this
And
couple
yet,
have nothing to do with each other
if you
at all.
ask them, they all say, we're very happy.
Yes. Or I have a good marriage.
Yeah. So she really did want to examine that.
Oh, interesting.
And kind of go inside that.
The other part of that, and that I think was interesting, is how we also looked at each of the couples, but on the individuals in the marriage, and the things they wanted in life and what they didn't want in life, and then how those things interacted with the other person. And I think that was really, really fascinating too. And the lengths you'll go and the things you'll do for your spouse or
not.
And then that was interesting because
it was a really great character study.
Very much.
Is there anything else you want to talk about writing before we go too far?
I like her writing. I've always liked her writing, from Reconstructing Amelia to whatever the last one was, which I can't remember the title offhand. And I'm really looking forward to the new book next week, because I really like how she writes and how she puts things together.
Friends Like These. It comes out Tuesday,
Friends Like These.
September 7th. I too am excited for that one.
Yeah, it looks good. But I like how she brings a lot of people together and then kind of picks them apart, and how they act, react, interact, and all of those kind of things. I very much enjoy that.
Yep. I think she writes the best circular, I always call it circular because I'm not sure how else to describe it, but the best circular plots, where you meet these people and you're going along and you don't realize how all of this is really going to fall together. Because at first it feels like someone might really have nothing to do with the case. Right. I mean, and she does this in every book I've read. Where you're thinking, well, this is weird. Why are we talking to this person? Okay, well, we're just briefly talking to this person. Right. But then you start getting further and you're like, well, this person is back again. And why?
Yes.
And then at the end, you're like, well, it all worked together. That's why.
Right. I do enjoy that.
Yeah.
Because it is that you are not sure. And I like that it's a red herring, not a red herring. It's that... Yeah.
They never feel like red herrings. It's more like, well, this is interesting and it's adding to this story. But then at the end, you're like, bam, this is why this was important.
Right.
At least I always kind of feel the bam
moment. Because something you thought was an interesting side note or a family note or this is, all of our kids go to school together, not a big deal. And then a bigger deal, then, some of those kind of,
And she's done it with all of her books. Yeah. And so... I really like that I get to the end and I'm like, yes, this is a believable ending for the person who did this.
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm stunned.
Right.
So I feel like she does that masterfully.
Yes. Which I love about mysteries and psychological thrillers and suspense and all of those kind of things. It's
if they're well done.
Yeah.
I agree.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Why waste our time on those?
Or yours.
Do you want to talk... generally, not specific yet, about any of the couple or any of the characters, not necessarily as couples, but
well, it's interesting because there were 4 different characters, 4 different couples. There was Amanda, who we know in the very beginning is dead, and her husband Zack, who is, and we know in the beginning, is in jail. And then there's Lizzie, the attorney, and her
husband Sam,
who is a writer, and Zack is
he's like
techie guy.
Yeah, he came from Palo Alto or
Silicon Valley.
Yeah, and made it big there, and now he's moved to New York.
Right.
With his family.
And then there's Maud, who has the parties, the big neighborhood parties, and her husband Zebby. And then there's Sarah, who is she's the one who becomes, president of the PTA. All of those isn't she work with a nonprofit with Amanda?
Yes.
Yeah. So she does all the nice things, and then her husband Carrie, who is
in between work.
Right.
I think he's like on a sabbatical. Carrie, and that's kind of what we know about Carrie's job at this point.
Right.
I don't want to say more than that right now.
Okay. And Sam is a writer. I think I said that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I don't want to say more about anyone's work.
Right. Okay. We won't talk about anyone else and what they do.
Their jobs are interesting, but...
Yes.
But we can discuss is, what were your first impressions of Amanda? Like, when you first met her?
She was dead.
Okay, I'm sorry. The second
and she was
impression,
really bloody. The things I thought in the beginning, they weren't true. Just so you know.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely presented as a confident person.
Yes, very
presented. Much. I'm gonna say.
Yes.
And I liked her in the beginning.
Yes.
And she's definitely an interesting character.
Well, I think that's what I liked is I felt that way about all of them. They were all very interesting in totally different ways. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. I kind of was on the fence about Lizzie, and only because her manner is more abrupt and direct.
Yes.
Which, as an abrupt, direct person, you'd think I'd appreciate, but
sometimes it's unnerving.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know where we're headed with you,
I don't
Lizzie.
know where you get that. Yes, and I think Lizzie is interesting because she is an attorney who is working at a big old law firm that makes a lot of money. Or is starting to make a lot of money, but it's not what she wanted to do. She wanted to be in the district attorney's office forever, and she had to make this choice. But it's interesting because I don't know if she's so the way she is because of her choices, or if she was just that way even when she was in the other job.
Let's discuss this later. Okay. I actually have a
come back
thought
to that.
on that. Okay. All right.
But I like her.
Yeah. I didn't dislike her. I was just already like on guard for some reason.
Oh.
And I don't know why. Like she, again, presented very nice.
Well, part of it, I think, even in the very beginning, is sometimes it was the way she talked. The way she said things. It wasn't even it was direct. It was the things in the background that she said she was thinking and what she was feeling. And you were like, wait a minute. But what you're saying and what you're doing are kind of very at odds with each other.
Yeah.
And so I think it was partly that. That
and she's
made
a lawyer.
And she's a lawyer.
I'm kidding.
We have a few of those. We like them.
No, I'm just teasing. Yeah, I think
ones.
she just is a very standoffish character feeling.
Yes.
When she interacts with other characters within the book. And so then because of her standoffishness, I'm already kind of as
feeling
well on my guard. Yeah, exactly. I'm mimicking that feeling.
I see that.
So
okay. Yeah.
Okay. I kind of feel like, because this is the type of book it is, where we're going to blurt things out because we don't mean to, but it's interesting and we're going to. So I'm going to just say spoilers, I feel.
Spoilers coming right now.
Now.
Turn it off.
Go read this.
It was so good. Go read it. I loved it. I'd recommend it to everybody.
I always.
Unless you don't like starting off with dead people.
Even then, go read it anyway. I adore her books.
You have time to stop it now.
Then come back and tell us if you agree or disagree or think we're just totally off our rockers.
Well, we might be that too. But
so
needless to
spoilers.
Say. Spoiler.
Okay. So now that that's happened, okay. I don't know if I want to come right back to the Lizzie comment. I kind of do.
Okay.
And I feel like I can tie it in with some of the plot as well. Okay, so I feel like Lizzie has always been like this because of her relationship with her dad. Because her dad's in prison for killing a guy, and shortly after her mom passes away.
Right.
So I kind of feel like she's already had to put up all these walls and boundaries on top of when you look into her relationship with Sam and his alcoholic issues. And the fact that she's had to give up all of her dreams in order to try to save her husband.
Did you think that that's why she wanted to work for the DA's office, to bring justice, because her father was in jail and she wanted to be on that other side?
Oh, it totally could have been motivation. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and if we're going can I spoiler about Lizzie
we've
too?
already spoiled, so we're good.
Well, you find out that, I already made a mention of it earlier, that Lizzie and Zack were like study buddies when they were in law school. And then Zack thought it was a little bit more than Lizzie did, and she said, we're not dating, we don't even, we study together. And he was so freaked out that he never talked to her again. Yeah,
that was so weird.
Which was interesting.
Yeah.
And so then you can see maybe that was part of her personality, is she wasn't as invested
in people.
Yes. But then it's also his personality of that they never even went on a date. I mean, they sat and studied together, and they did.
I actually think that's a really interesting point of you saying about Lizzie. I never actually considered it in that sense. I always blamed Zack because I don't like Zack, and we can discuss that as well in a little bit. I kind of just always assumed it was him, but knowing that, you're right, because even her relationship with Sam, they're not the schmoopy couple.
Right. Schmoopy. It's a good word.
Thank you. They're very... they're very like a chill. I don't know, chill couple's the right phrasing either.
Yeah.
But, it's like,
they don't live
hey,
in
you
each
want to
other's
get married?
pockets.
Sure, kind
you
of
wanna,
thing.
Yeah. And she loves him because she makes a lot of choices.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
To support him. And Sam just, Sam is a writer, but he's also an alcoholic.
Who's not in recovery yet.
Who is not in recovery and desperately needs to be. And he's a very nice man, but his first book did well, and then the second one, nothing.
And then there's the car wreck.
Then he was in a car wreck because he was
drunk
driving, and so they had to pay like $200,000 or $300,000, and so that's why she went and got a job,
which she lied on her resume about,
which she resented. And forget the rest of it. She resented that, and then she tried to hold her marriage together, even though all these resentments were there. And that was interesting because you do see how people get sucked into these situations in marriage where they're like, but I'm married, I have to do this.
Mm-hmm. Well, she very much felt like that. Yeah. I mean, and I think, yes, absolutely, she was very resentful of Sam and his situation and what he did to their relationship.
Right.
But in terms of doing that, she was also, I think, dealing with a lot of guilt on lying to her job at her new business.
She didn't tell her job about her money she had to pay,
or the fact that he had, kind of a criminal record and, all those things. And she was afraid they wouldn't hire her, kind of.
Right.
So she was hiding that, which also kind of made all this interesting as she's trying to keep that secret from them. And her new job was interesting as well, in the sense that, like, she's filling in for this person who's gone and has all of those, like, sexual harassment suits that you slowly start hearing about.
Yeah.
And so she's already coming into a weird environment.
I guess they replaced the lawyer she works with.
Because she's
partner, is because she's new to this. He steps into the former partners when the partner gets booted, and then she's working for this guy, but they have some of the same people working there, and so it's interesting. Yeah,
because she actually thought initially it was her boss.
Right.
That was the assaultant, basically.
Assaultant, I like that. It's
right.
It's good.
So anyway, she's already into a weird situation with her job. So she's resentful of Sam. She's lying because of Sam, and now she's in kind of a not great position as well. So she's got a lot going on.
And then she gets a phone call from Zack saying, help me, I'm in jail, my wife is dead, they framed me, I didn't do it, and I need help, and can you come here right now to help me out because it's horrible here.
Who thought the husband did it?
She did.
Okay, only because Zack is slimy. I think it would have made me happier if it was Zack.
I was okay that it wasn't Zack, mostly because I think he got what he deserved with everything that came around. So yes. And if it had been Zack, we would have gotten to the end and gone, well, shoot.
Yeah, it would have been
him.
Yeah,
we knew it.
Why didn't we read a 400-page book to know it's?
You read this big old book, and
honestly, I didn't think it was him. I just wanted it to be him.
Yeah, because Zack told Lizzie, and she got there that night, and she went to Rikers in the middle of the night, with who goes there except if you're in jail.
And Rikers of all the prisons.
And he got beat up, and he was a mess, and it was horrible, and he made her feel so guilty, and she had to help him, and she did all of this stuff. And
which she had to, like, persuade her bosses to take this case as well. I mean, again, putting her job in jeopardy already.
Yes. And then for relationships, and she,
I feel like we should also talk about what Zack really did, though. Can we talk about that now?
Well, yes. The funny part is we haven't even gotten into the other two couples at all.
No, we'll get there, because we'll have to circle back to the real plot.
One of the things that all these people's children go to school together.
Yeah, is it an elementary or?
No, I think it's like a
private. Is it
preppy,
preschool?
Preppy. No,
is they're in high school.
They
are in high school.
Yeah, and they're all gone for the summer. See, this part of this starts out at the beginning of the summer when we go back 6 or 5 days, whatever it was.
Yeah, no.
And all these people go to this party at this woman's house. They have a big end of summer. The kids are coming home. We're going to have a party. It's going to be
Mob and
fun.
Sebes,
at Maud's, yep. And everyone at some time shows up, but it also isn't it the night Amanda is murdered?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it all comes. That's why all the stuff is leading you to the night of the party, the key party.
And then we keep going back and finding out stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the things we find out is about the school is they're getting letters, or somebody hacked their computer system.
They're getting blackmail emails.
Yes.
Basically. Their system for their way they alert their families about whatever has been hacked. And this person is now going and finding things on your computer, whether that's photos of you, porn, letters of like love letters or whatever it is.
And also hacking your home computers and getting into all of your accounts for anything.
Yeah. And then they're using that to blackmail them for money.
Right.
And at this point, I'm going to say it was Zack.
That was Zack, and he's a bastard.
Yeah, I mean, he like unleashed a whole series of hackers that he hires to. The reasoning for Zack is that he was trying out his new like anti-hacking software that he was hoping would get picked up and launch him into this next big career because he's bankrupt.
Because he sold his former business supposedly for a bucket load of money. And he and his wife moved from Silicon Valley to New York to start again.
But he's bankrupt.
Yeah, it was all crap. He didn't sell the company for billions, and he didn't have.
So he's hired all these hackers, but he's unleashed them all, and now they've actually gone all rogue. And like one of them is harassing one of the 15-year-old daughters.
Yeah.
And that got really tragic, really fast. I mean, she's okay, but it could have gone south really quickly. Because they continued, even when Zack was in prison, they continued harassing and blackmailing all these people.
Yeah.
And she's away at camp.
When you're like, oh, yeah, all these kids are away at camp, and then all these things, parents keep getting letters. The kids are getting letters. Yeah. Everybody's getting stuff. Yeah, and then Zack was also hacking Lizzie's computer and saying and really he was using everything he knew about her against her,
manipulating it.
It was awful.
Yeah, he was slimy.
He was.
Did you ever?
No, he was beyond slimy.
Yeah,
he was really horrible.
Did you ever trust Zack? Like ever think?
No.
I mean, he even staged the beating up.
No, you felt bad for him because he got beat up.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, she just said it, but he beat himself up. And when toward the end, when Lizzie was talking to a prison person and said, "Could you get this signed for me? I totally forgot." And the guy said something about, "Oh well, you don't want him to beat himself up again." And she was like, what? And you were just like, oh crap, he did it himself to make her feel sorry. So he manipulated her from the very first phone call, and he knew that because it all happened so fast, she wouldn't even have time to get money from him. She hired people to go out and do work for him, and he never gave her any money, and her law firm was not happy. And
yeah, it was terrible.
No, he was horrible.
Even that first letter he writes to her, you could feel it. It felt so Gillian Flynn Gone Girl in some ways.
It did.
You knew that person was working you.
Yeah. So Zack ended up being just a son of a bitch, and and he did, I think, in the end go to jail. But he never. I don't think he ever felt bad about all that. He didn't want to be a murderer, and he didn't want to stay in jail for murdering his wife. But Zack
is a narcissist. He's not going to feel bad.
Good point.
I mean, we haven't even looked at Zack and Amanda's relationship. Which was very weird. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. Let's just go there.
Okay. Do you want? Okay.
Go ahead.
So Zack and Amanda met at when Amanda was working at a motel. Yeah. Right. Zack came through town, and they kind of hit it off. And she was already upset at her house for her personal situation, and so she needed to run.
Yeah.
And he said, "Come with me to California." So she did. And then they kind of formed an agreement, more or less, of a marriage. Yeah. I mean, it was more like a roommate situation. Yes, they had a son. Then I think that was where it ended.
I do too. It was interesting because you felt like Lizzie and Sam really cared about each other, but they weren't, again, they weren't together all the time. They didn't feel, they felt disconnected in a different way. These two felt disconnected completely. Because he totally gave Amanda money, but he didn't, to set up this nonprofit. And Sarah, one of the other people we'll get to, was working for Amanda. Yeah. And it was sad.
I mean, you never saw Zack. The part when Amanda was describing how she, in order to talk to Zack, had to email Zack's assistant, who would then go out and ask Zack if he could speak to his wife about coming home and having dinner, and then would respond, "Zack's too busy, sorry."
Right.
I mean, that part was heartbreaking. Why would you ever be in a marriage like this?
Right.
Now, it was convenient at the time. initially. Like, it got her out of her bad situation.
Right.
He did have money and provided, and she had a son that she adores and loves. But now it's gotten even worse.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So it was very weird.
It was weird.
And let's contrast that with...
well, Sarah and Carrie seem really great. Sarah worked at a nonprofit, plus she volunteered at all these things at the school.
They met in high school.
They
were the quarterback and cheerleader, prom king and queen.
Oh, good.
Didn't that feel too perfect? Didn't you think right off the bat when they said that part that they were going to have skeletons?
Yes. I think, but you know, they're also in a psychological thriller, so I kind of assumed everybody was going to have them. I didn't think anybody was going to be unscathed in this.
I actually thought they had initially a pretty decent marriage.
I did too.
Because every interaction you have with them, it seems... playful and fun and loving.
Right. They do.
You know.
And it wasn't until, you know, we are at Maud's when they're having a party. But, you know, you think end of a summer party, let's have fun. But then there's this whole upstairs. And everybody's upstairs having sex or doing weird things.
For the night. What happens at the party stays at the party.
Yeah, because it's their once a year. They all just... do stuff together.
Well, we should also mention that for Maud and Sebe, that's fine. They have an open marriage.
Yes.
This is something that they're happy to not necessarily, like, provide, but they're not upset about this situation happening.
Right.
They understand it.
I
liked them.
I like them a lot. I like both of them, together and separate.
Yep.
But it was one of those where you're like, I can't imagine being invited to a party of all of your married friends and then saying, oh, well, we're just going to go upstairs. We'll see later.
It's only those who want to participate. And I assume any couple that participate has pre-discussed this.
Do you think they all knew before they got there? I mean, I know the people who've been going a long time but if you were a new couple?
I assume, I don't know from experience, because I have not gone to an upstairs party, but I assume if you are in an open marriage, that you would pre-discuss all of your rules, which Maud and Sebe do.
They did, but the other ones I don't think did.
You think they go and are like, they don't discuss it with their spouse?
Well, my guess is this has been going on for a long time, and I think they probably the first year were like, where are they going?
Let's see what happens.
They didn't know, and so they just didn't participate. They didn't do anything, and people just went. So, you know, if you go back a few years, which that again, I always like that. I need to know before and I need to know after. And so I assume that, you know, maybe the second or third year you go, maybe you're going to think about it.
Right. I just assume you would tell your spouse before heading to the party what the plan is.
Do you think they did?
I don't know. I guess that depends how many divorces were filed afterwards.
I think Amanda and Zack, no.
Amanda and Zack are almost a non-point because to me, they aren't a marriage.
Right.
There's no love.
Well, didn't somebody say then Zack brought his assistant with him and that was odd?
Oh, he probably did.
Okay.
But I don't think Zack looked at her in that sense.
No, I don't either.
They, again, were together for convenience.
Yes.
And time passed.
Yeah, I
now,
think
Carrie
so too.
And Sarah, I don't know what they decided.
I know, me either. But they've been married a long time. I mean, these people's kids are all in high school, so I think they've been around a while, and they're like,
So, yes, now we're at the fateful night when Amanda is getting all these weird texts. I mean, at this point, we have been led to believe that her father is stalking her.
Right. Her father had done that before.
And she's getting weird texts, like aggressive and like, I see you and some other things.
I'm watching you. I've been following you. I can't believe you went into this spot and did this.
When she's been out on her own, she has heard things and felt like somebody watching her or like found the flowers at her doorstep.
Right.
And then she's been trying to hook up with her like high school best friend.
Yeah.
And they keep passing and missing. Right. And like she even ends up at a park one night planning to meet is it Carolyn?
Yeah.
And then she doesn't show and she's late and then she's getting stressed out. Amanda is, because she's hearing things and she feels like somebody's coming and
chasing her.
Somebody's yelling her name.
And somebody's calling her name.
And so she drops to the ground.
And I was like,
I love her.
Yeah,
her fight or flight action. But she had a good point. If you drop to the ground, you're harder to like pick up and move. Was her like I'll be dead weight was her idea.
Right.
But it was Sebe who was coming up and who felt terrible then.
And he felt so bad. He was just seeing her and seeing if he could help her because she looked freaked out.
Did you ever not trust Sebe? Because they kind of, I feel like, were trying to set it up that he was the slimy stalker at points. He's the too charming boy.
Yeah, because he's French? No.
He's French.
He's French. And he's very debonair, I'll say.
He's very handsome.
Yes.
He's a doctor. He has the accent. Yeah.
And he helps anybody when they need it. I mean, he's just an all-around good guy. And then you have to say,
yeah,
are there really all-around good guys? I mean, you know.
I actually never thought it was Sebe, though.
I don't either. They tried too hard. She tried too hard to make it him.
Yeah.
But I get why you have to do that. And of course, not everyone is perfect. Even if he's perfect, he's not.
Right. Yeah. Which we did see a little bit of.
Right.
With some of the interviews and that.
Right.
Okay, so now we're basically... So Amanda is upset because she's feeling like she's being stalked. And so she gets a text... I don't remember exactly what it says, but it's like, I see you drinking your drink, or I see you spilling your drink. Maybe that's what it was.
It was something that somebody was in the actual house, the party, with her.
So she freaks out and runs home and leaves. And at this point, I think Zack is already gone as well.
And then Maud's gone.
Yeah. Well, Maud sees that Amanda leave and follows...
Wait, who was in the closet?
Maud.
Yeah.
She sees Zack leave.
She sees Zack leave. And then
sorry. And she somehow beats Zack home, but I don't really understand.
Think he went home. I think he went for a walk. He didn't go home. He went for a walk, and I think Maud went out and saw he was going for a walk, and Amanda was upstairs.
And so she thought that's where he was headed, was home.
And so she went to the house. What was she looking for?
Oh, yeah.
She went to the house. You find out early that while Amanda's being murdered... Yeah, Maud's upstairs in the office closet and the door is stuck.
She went to look for the printouts of the emails.
Yes.
Because Amanda had, not even knowingly, mentioned some email printouts that Zack had, even though Zack has made a big stink about never giving the school his email.
Right.
And Maud put together the pieces that Zack was somehow involved on the email scams.
Because his computer company was trying to solve the problem instead of, are the problem.
So she went over, you're right, to sneak into the house to do that. But then she hears, I'm assuming at this stage, Amanda coming home. So she runs into the closet to hide.
And then she hears Amanda come in.
And then hears somebody else come in. And then she hears a man.
She hears a man's voice but doesn't know who it is.
Yeah, and then a loud thump.
And she's thinking, holy crap, I'm going to be stuck in this closet all night.
Yeah, because she actually grabs the golf club at one point. Because, I mean, she hears a lot of racket.
Yeah.
As Amanda falls down the stairs and hits her head repeatedly and dies, unfortunately. And then Maud comes out with the golf club still
holding
in her
the golf club.
I'm sure she thinks it's probably Zack, and she's ready to attack Zack.
She's going to kill whoever
upset because of her daughter.
Yes.
And then on top of it, she heard all that with Amanda, so she's already like full on alert. But then she sees Amanda and runs and realizes Amanda has passed away.
And drops the golf club.
And she texts Sebi at this point. And he comes and, as a doctor, knows she's passed away.
She's gone.
But because of this, they've really corrupted all of the forensic.
Now, Amanda's on the bottom of the stairs. Maud dropped the golf club right there. Mm-hmm. Zebby's been there checking to see what's happening. And then whoever really did it, could have been them.
And I mean...
They were all there. And
they tried to, not have Maud too much in the crime scene, but she was covered in blood because she tried to revive her. And Sebi, picks her up. But I think that there were still footprints.
There was somebody's footprints.
Somebody's. I'm not sure if they were hers, though.
I know. I think it was probably Sebi's.
And then... Yeah. Zack comes home, call 911, and then the cops come,
and Zack is over her body trying to protect her, and the police go to pull him off, and he elbows the cop and goes to jail for that, but not for murder because they couldn't get him at that moment. But that's when you think maybe it's really him, but we knew it wasn't him.
No, and the pieces slowly come together, but then suddenly come together.
Well, it's interesting because Sarah had worked at the nonprofit with Amanda, and you find out that there is no money in the nonprofit, and Sarah has worked there, and that's her job, and that's how she's making money, because her husband, he is not working because he was an attorney, and he's
the attorney that was let go for all the sexual harassment.
Yeah.
And so Lizzie pieces that part together. You know, we forgot a pivotal character who might have been involved, though. We forgot about Sam's involvement before we get too much further.
Right.
I feel like we have to paint Sam's picture and Lizzie's skepticism.
You find out, though, that Sam played basketball with
in the area.
Carrie.
We eventually find out it's Carrie.
He's playing basketball with a group of guys, and they go out afterwards, and it's Carrie, and Carrie takes
So it's Carrie. Just
right? I wasn't going to say it, but
say it now.
And that's who wrote the little thing in the beginning about I'm sitting in jail, and I really didn't kill anybody. It was an accident.
No, that was Zack.
No.
I think it was because Carrie's confession's at the end.
Again. Same.
I've always thought that was Zack's confession to Lizzie.
Nope.
I'm going to have to reread that, everyone.
She can do that now. I'll tell you what happened.
Go ahead.
She's going to do it now because he said, I didn't kill anyone. I don't know why I'm here. It's not.
But I thought that was Zack.
No. That's
God,
Carrie
really?
in the beginning. Really?
That just changes everything.
It changes everything.
And nothing all the same time.
It doesn't, because when you get to the end and you read Carrie's note to his children or whatever, he's giving his police statement, and he's like, but I didn't kill anyone. It was an accident. She fell down the stairs. Mind you, in the meantime, he had raped all these women and harassed all these women, and
he framed Sam.
And he framed Sam because he took Amanda's earring and put it in his pocket because he was passed out on a bench because he's an alcoholic. So it was like, oh, I mean, this, we're talking all about the plot, not so much about the, but...
Oh my God, it totally is.
It's Carrie! She didn't believe me. I knew all the time it wasn't.
Oh my gosh, I really thought that was Zack the whole time manipulating Lizzie by writing this stupid letter.
He manipulated her in all the other ways, but not that way.
That's hilarious.
So, but you don't really get totally that it's him, obviously, until the end when he gives the police statement and he's telling about, and it says the same thing, and she fell down the stairs, and every time she went to get up, she fell again, and so she hit her head like 5 or 6 times.
That was weird.
It was weird. He said he didn't touch her. Okay, just so you know, now here was my subplot that I thought was happening, okay?
Okay.
I thought it really wasn't Amanda. Somebody else was there, and that they messed up her face really, really badly, so you couldn't tell it was her, and she was going to run away. And go to California and get her son from the camp and disappear like she did from her father.
Like staged her death.
Yes.
I actually didn't think she was being stalked.
And I thought Sarah was helping her do that.
Oh, that would have been better.
Yeah.
That would have made me feel better about that.
She wouldn't have been dead.
And then, I feel for Sarah. Like, she was so duped by Carrie, this man she's known for years. Like, she had no idea on any of this. No
idea.
Until the blackmail email came in about all the pornography, she had no idea. Even about the lawsuits at work. I'm not sure if he's actually being lost. I don't know if there were lawsuits.
I think there were a couple of women
because he lied about all that to her and told her basically he was on a sabbatical.
Right. And that he was working or he was doing something because he left every day. But he really went to the garage and was doing porn and then stalking women.
Yeah. Okay. So I never thought Amanda was being stalked because we get pretty late into the book that Amanda's dad is dead and that she's actually killed him because he killed her best friend and was also molesting her over several years.
Her father was.
Yeah. So I thought that she was imagining all of the texts. We know she kind of was imagining the phone calls with Carol Lynn. Yeah. Sorry. So when we got to find out that it was Carrie stalking her, I was like, oh, wow, there really was a person on the other end of all that.
Right. And I think that was the trickiest twist in there.
Okay, I know she does it so well.
She did. That you were like, no, wait a minute. When the person who, the whoever they hire to go and check things out, and they're like, wait a minute, she doesn't have, her father's dead, and her uncle's like, oh yeah, she killed him, huh?
I mean, it was self-defense.
Right.
I mean, she never got in trouble for it.
Right.
I mean, it was, yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm not upset by that.
No, but it was just kind of blew you away, and you're like,
yeah, because you were like, you did really think her dad, and I kind of thought Carolyn, was maybe in on the stalking. She was like her manifestation of Carolyn was really weird.
Yes.
And then it was really shocking when we found out she was also dead.
She was right,
and upsetting.
That was horrible.
Yeah, it was. So I was really stunned when we found out Carrie was also actually was stalking her during the day.
Right.
And it was weird, like when he came over and moved the baseball cards. Like there were some that initially was like, oh, that's friendly, but it was like,
but
that's too
and then
friendly.
Was it him that said I was going to fix the door that got stuck, or Maud was in there?
Yeah,
he was coming to help out to do some things around the house.
He's always trying to be helpful because Zach's not.
Right,
and then it's true, but it's like
it was creepy.
There's some boundary issues.
There were, Then I thought, when the sex parties, I thought, well, is it just because he wants to, have
meet her upstairs?
Meet her upstairs. Is that just what they do once a year? Which was odd.
Yeah. So, super delightful book. I'm still really stunned.
It was.
But it's different wording. I just want that mentioned than his confession.
Well, the confession was a police report, and this was a thing he wrote.
Yeah, I still wouldn't have known it was Zack.
And he still says, but I didn't kill anyone. Mind you, forget the raping and the torture, not the torture, the stalking and the porn and the trying to set other people up.
The only reason I agree that it is Carrie is because he said that you meet someone gorgeous and smart and funny and who's better than you. Zack would never say that. No. But that's why I thought he was manipulating. I thought it was all to convince Lizzie.
The manipulating starts in the beginning of the next chapter when he calls her and says, oh my God, I'm in jail. Help me, please.
I don't know why
And he said he actually called Lizzie on purpose because he knew she had this new job, because he had access to her computer because she clicked on a link in her email that said renew your Netflix subscription. Don't click on links in your computer. Never do that. Everybody had this issue, and he said, and
there was one character that was like, I wasn't going to click on that.
Yeah,
was it Sarah? Maybe said that.
Yeah, but Zack said to Lizzie, I can't believe you clicked on that. I thought you were way smarter than that, and that's the only way he got into her computer. But he found out then that she lied on her application, and he found out that so he did all that because he knew he couldn't afford a really good lawyer. He knew he could manipulate her because he was so angry that she didn't return his affection, even though
it was definitely to get back at her for all of that as well. Yeah,
which was shocking to me.
Yeah. In Lizzie's defense, I think she was incredibly busy. I'm sure she was just like, whatever, let's just get this done.
Right. But even when Sam said to her, you went where and what time? He was so shocked, and she was like, well, now I didn't tell anyone, so I can't say
I meant
anything.
The Netflix thing. Like, she was probably just busy trying to get that task done and is like consumed with other issues in her mind.
To watch Netflix anyway.
Well, maybe she thought if Sam had access to Netflix, he wouldn't be out drinking.
I think the thing I really like is, as Jody has said, this author does circular stuff really well, because you at the very beginning, like Carrie, the killer Carrie, he kept saying, but I didn't kill her. She fell down the stairs. Really, it was an accident.
He did push her.
Oh, but he didn't kill her. He just pushed her down the stairs. It was an accident.
And she stood up and slipped in the blood.
And she slipped a bunch of times. Do you think that was really true?
She
was, because the first time it was a long flight of stairs because they're brownstones.
And then she hit the metal tread.
Right.
I do think she slipped and all that, because I'm sure when you stand up and you hit your head that hard, there was that much blood instantly.
And you're also in the middle of a confrontation, and you're freaked out anyway.
And I was going to say, and woozy.
Yeah.
From getting your head hit.
And then there's blood on the floor.
Yeah, I think she did, sadly.
Wow.
So yeah, go read it. That's all I got left. And do you have any parting thoughts otherwise?
I really liked, since it's all spoilers anyway, and you've all already read this, I really liked that in the end Sam went and got help. Mm-hmm. And that she went to her company and said, I lied on the report, I didn't put this in. And the guy that she worked for went, well, that's okay, just go fill out a new form. Go to HR tomorrow. Fill out a new form. And she was just like...
Well, he wasn't quite that chill, but
but he was very kind about it. It was very, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah,
and you can fix it, get it done, and it'll be okay.
Was there a good marriage?
Eventually, I think it was heading that way.
Oh, you think Sam and Lizzie were the good marriage?
I think they will be.
Oh, okay. You think that's the only good marriage?
Maud and Zebby, probably.
I think Maud and Zebby.
Yeah.
I hope
Lizzie
maybe
they'll
and
stop
Sam
having sex parties, because it didn't come to any good.
They might stop at the parties.
Okay. You could just have a barbecue.
I mean, technically, it wasn't their fault, and they weren't really the cause of it in any way.
No, but everybody, it was very interesting how everybody, I could see that the police doing a whole timeline of who did what and who was where and when.
Yeah. Oh, the red string.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think they might not have a party because now they have no friends, because everyone's dead or in prison.
Yeah.
Until they get new neighbors. That's not the crappy lady next door that keeps calling them in.
Right. But it's kind of sad because now, of course, it's really Sarah that lost the most. I mean, Amanda lost her life.
Thank you.
Amanda's dead. That's horrible.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking something was going to come around with, like, the kid really wasn't in summer camp.
Or the boy.
Yeah. Because it was like they didn't talk to him.
I actually feel for him most because Zach's going to be an absentee father.
Well, he's going to be in jail, I hope.
And probably, he'll probably go move in with his friends that he's at the camp with that took him in once they found out about Amanda.
Horrible, though.
But yeah, I think that's who I feel for. I mean, Sarah too, because I feel like she feels like now her entire life she's never gonna be able to trust.
Anyone because
she's been with this guy for 20 years. How do you? And you think you know him? How do you overcome that?
Only push someone down the stairs. Come on.
On top of everything else.
On top of yes, right. If you get past all that other stuff.
Now that being said, I think Sarah will rise and be resilient. She's a pretty strong character.
And then I did like that Debbie said, "Whatever I can do, I'll help you guys." And
again, I liked him. I really liked those two.
Me too.
That was the good marriage. I think Sam and Lizzie, if they stay on the track,
potential. Yeah.
They've been through a lot.
But I like
get through more.
She stood up for all of her. I did all the wrong things, and and then he did the right thing by saying, "I really have to go do this. I have to get my life together."
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Okay, so next week, switching gears, we are going to be, and by we I mean myself and Aubrey, will be discussing "All's Well" by Mona Awad. I'm not sure that the last name is pronounced right. I will learn it for next week. I'm really excited. This is a Shakespearean retelling.
Oh.
I'm a sucker for those, as
you
we
really
also
are.
all know.
Really, if it's a good book, if it's well written, Jody's a sucker for it. Not that we all aren't.
So it's going to be contemporary fiction, focusing on the play All's Well That Ends Well. I think it will be really fun.
Which is never one of this author's titles. All's Well That Ends Well.
Probably not.
And by the way, she does have a new book coming out on
September.
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
You did say that.
Yep. So you should go check that out as well because
I haven't
spoiled it for you yet.
No.
All right. So check out next Friday, and we will tell you all of our thoughts on the All's Well, which does not say ends well. Just put that in there.
Oh, it doesn't.
So we'll see you next week.
Thanks,
Bye.